If I never knew I could sharpen my axe to get to this end goal quicker, I would have never known. And so that was like something that we had to be willing to go do, but it opened so many more doors for us. And so I was like, okay, marketing is the only thing I can do digitally and still kind of make money.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another awesome fireside chat. And today I got a very special guest when we met, we hit it off, and sometimes, it's the vibes. The vibes do not lie. And this guy, a mastermind behind networking, connecting, and I felt it immediately, and I was like, all right, cool. We got to chop it up, but instead of chopping it up at a coffee shop, I said, let's put some cameras on, because I'm sure some people will get some value out of this one. Give it up to my boy, Daniel Mwangi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yo, thank you for that amazing intro. And like you said, like this is pretty much our first developed conversation, and here we are on a podcast. So I'm excited to see what we get into.
Absolutely, yeah, because we've been chopping it up a little bit back and forth, and it was like, you know what, let's get a little long overdue on this. Let's get a long-winded one and see how deep we can go. And yeah, man, since we met, I've been following you, and I gotta say, you're in the lab cooking, huh?
Yeah, man. We're getting to it, man. It's especially new year, new everything, right? So we got some pretty ambitious goals this year for sure.
For sure. So for those who don't know you, can you give a little bit of context of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hey, my name is Daniel Mwangi. I'm actually the CEO and founder of MCM Marketing, which is Mwangi Creative Media. What we are is we are a partnership and branding company. So we help creators brand themselves and leverage partnerships to monetize. And then on the back end of things, we help brands actually use these partnerships to grow their businesses.
Oh, that's nice. And it was funny. We met originally, like the conversation came from the event side. I love the event side. And then I saw you just kind of hitting the events.
Yeah.
It's big conferences like Rolling Loud, or even like little Christmas giveaways with Jack Doherty and Lil Pump.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how did those, if you can, because I'm sure people will love to hear how those actually came to fruition and can kind of learn from your story.
For sure. I mean, yeah, like you said, we're at the point now where, our projects are like stuff like Rolling Loud. We're working on F1 right now. And so these just massive events. I'd say the biggest part of that is just being in a great location like Miami, where, these experiences are just every week, every other day. Like there's something going on here, right? Yeah. And then on the other end of like obviously hanging out with Jack Doherty or some of these relationships that I've built, it's the location.
One leads to the next, right?
So exactly, right? So when you're in a great place, people are outside and people love Miami. It's the city, and people are always looking to network, grow, and brand, right? So for someone like an event like Rolling Loud, there's a lot of activations going on. So a company like Beatbox or let's say Monster Energy, they'll sponsor the whole thing. And so that's actually where we come into place, right? We have a lot of creative strategy behind sponsorships like Rolling Loud, or right now the event that we're working on with F1. It's really to leverage this brand's, presence and experience with their consumer, right? And get there. So I'd say the way we got into that is, like I said, location. So I would go to these events and then I would go meet like, branding specialists or the actual marketing team that put on this event, right? And I'd ask, hey, what were the goals here? Like to convert or brand awareness, new location, new product. So I would start to understand, okay, that's why these brands are out here spending tons of money, is because they're eventually hoping to convert on the back end. And so I was like, okay, how can I get involved, right? I didn't go to school get a marketing degree.
Most marketing people I know, they all figured it out on the way.
Yeah, exactly, right? And we live in a world where like information is free. Yeah. We have things like AI, YouTube, just, you can learn yourself if you really wanted to. It's just about the amount of time you put into it. If I go to be a lawyer in school, I'm going to have to put time in to be a lawyer to actually get that degree and, start working as a profession. So I tell people all the time, information is free. If you want to do something, learn. Yeah. And then try it. So yeah, I would say just like I said, location is everything. And when I was at these locations, I would go meet branding specialists and people who are doing what I would like to be doing and asking them how I can get involved.
Nice. I went from YouTube University to GPT Academy.
GBT Academy, yeah. It's my best friend.
It's just, I got a tutor from literally any topic I want.
Yeah.
It's funny. Now I send the transcripts to people. I'm like, yo, this has been a crazy conversation. Have it. Wow. The funny part is most of the time, it's too long. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm giving you the answers.
Right. Yeah.
The wild thing, what I did was actually I pulled it. I have these conversations, and then I'll tell ChatGPT to summarize my conversation. And then I'll grab one of those AI brain rot TikTok editors that they'll grab your script, grab 11 labs to read you your script, and then put a video game
Right
in
under.
the background. So my
Yeah.
friends that are just like, I'm not going to read all your stuff. I'm like, here, bro, I'll still teach you.
Right. Because the brain rot, that's
It's
the
a
stuff.
brain rot.
Yeah.
Everyone somewhere has
It'll
a
get
little-
them.
There's a hit of brain rot on
Yeah,
everybody, right?
no, but that's crazy that you mentioned too, like how our consumer brains work now because of the information overload. We don't know what to consume.
Right.
So now, like, if we're gonna consume it, it has to be like a little bit of brain rot, something that's quick,
I know.
or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like if that makes sense. I don't know if
No,
that
well,
like
teachers, I've seen teachers are now incorporating it in the classroom.
Yeah.
Because it just holds their retention of how much they're paying attention, which is
Yeah.
crazy as the attention economy is. We're finding these little hacks and tricks to actually keep
Right.
people more
Engaged.
immersed and engaged on the platforms.
it was a two-edged sword because it's the same people that like took and shortened our attention spans now have to find a way to retain
Retain
it.
it,
Which
right.
is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So you obviously they're not from Miami. How'd you end up here, and how'd you kind of, I guess, like I like to say, penetrate the city and infiltrate these
Yeah.
circles and create a pretty great book of business and solid networks?
Yeah, so I'm a very ambitious guy.
Yeah.
So even coming to Miami, it was an ambitious goal. I had no plan, but I was very ambitious.
How old were you when you came here?
I was actually 21.
And
21.
how many did you come here just
No,
cold?
I knew nobody actually.
No
So
kidding.
the year before I moved here, I traveled a lot. I was like kind of traveling, went to a bunch of states, different countries, but Miami was just like Miami was just you never missed. And a good friend of mine, kind of like he brain rotted me, right? Because he brought me to Miami. And it was his birthday weekend, so he spent a ton of money that week. And so all I saw was yachts, cars, boats, girl. Like it was just like, whoa, this is the best thing ever. Ultimately, that's what you see online. Miami isn't just that. Miami
way
is a
more than
community
that.
with great people, and fitness, wellness, anything that you want in Miami, it's thriving here, right? So it's what you see is what you're looking for, And so what I would say that kind of thing was like, dang, San Diego is not like this, and San Diego is a great city, beautiful city, but I was young, right? I needed some energy. And so that's what actually brought me to Miami. And when I got here, I was doing the marketing thing because I was in sales before. And so I was like, okay, marketing is the only thing I can do digitally and still kind of make money. And so like I said, I would show up to these events, right? And so whether it's a
Like
brand,
what, like networking events? Or?
no. So like I had some cash saved up. So, and I'm a very experienced guy. So like going and paying to go be at F1 or going and paying to be at a Heat Suite or
Yeah,
like
of
this.
course.
So
Yeah,
there
to
was
be
the-
around people that are, that's why I tell people, I'm like, if you go to networking events, you're going to find realtors and financial advisors that are trying to get more clients.
Exactly.
If you go to where people, like the prospects, the people you want to work with are going,
then you
know,
find
yeah.
relationships that turn into business.
yeah.
And that's actually the very, that's what it came down to. I was at these places, but I would go alone. So the biggest thing is I would have to make a relationship to, retain the experience while I'm there. And then obviously, take it further than, okay, I'm new to Miami. I got to meet people who like to do what I like to do. And so that's when I would see, I would go, and a lot of these brands, when you go to these events, they're activating. So they're doing something cool to interact with you, right? So I was like, that's kind of how I got into gaining these big clients. Because if I went to F1, for example, and Rolex is there, right? This is a perfect example. Okay, now Rolex, they just have a ton of branding there, but they had a watch showcase there. And I met the agency that was it wasn't Rolex that was actually doing it, but it was an agency.
Yeah.
Right. And so that agency kind of opened up my book of business because they had so much going on, and I would just hit them up, hey, what do you guys have going on? What do you guys have going on? And I would learn. And then as I was learning, I would take
and like going to their activations, and going to their events.
activations.
Oh, so you'd act. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
you
would
just
act as
go
a
to the people
consumer.
who put the events on and be like, hey, this was really dope. I met some great context. You obviously have a great audience and a great brand like Rolex.
Yeah.
What other events are you doing? So you're just kind of making connections with the people that are organizing this.
Exactly. And I would say 80% of my business came from finding the person that was doing what I was doing. And then most people think that I'm a competitor, but I'm not, because
Competition. It's not yeah.
because most of the time, especially in this industry, it's like who has access to what, right? So for that agency to have an activation at F1, they must have knew somebody that was selling F1 packages, right? And so that's what I started to understand. I got to get to the event organizer and their marketing team, because Rolex is just a sponsor.
Yeah.
So then if I start acquiring, then I can sell, let's not AP. This is a really high-end example. We're not working with brands like AP and Rolex just yet, but they're agencies we are. Right, because these agencies are not just working with one client; they're working with multitudes of clients, right? And so that's just the simplest way of how we started gaining clients. It wasn't anything digital. It wasn't cold calling. It was showing up and saying hi, shaking a hand, right? We took a big risk earlier this year. We bought some tickets to the BET Awards. We go there, we convert, and then we end up getting a relationship at TikTok, and now we're under contract with TikTok. And that's just an example of how we started acquiring. our clients and leads. And while we're there at these events, you have the influencers that are there. You have, these branded people. So whether it's meeting them directly or meeting their management team or meeting someone that knows them, and then just transacting, not trying to sell anybody that day, but building a relationship and then taking that over a long period of time.
Man, I mean, I'm like, my wheels are turning.
Yeah.
It seems, and I'm very curious because you go into these events, you find the people that are in your position that are actually working the events.
Yeah.
And then they obviously have a contact with the people who have the budgets
Yeah.
to fund these agencies. Are these like agencies connecting you with the people to offer them
That's a great question because you almost think like, why would they be giving you?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I get it. You're supporting me. You're at my event, but I just met you, like.
Right. So yes, there is a fine line between the way we conduct a relationship. And that's why I said I'm never trying to sell something, right? We're in the same industry.
Good sales doesn't feel like sales.
Of course, right? But anything I'm trying to learn from you.
Of course.
Especially given that it was something that was new to me, right? And so to be fair and honest, a lot of the times, like these agencies would be like, okay, we're having an event here. Do you have an influencer? And this is where the influencer that can tie into it. And then they'll have a budget for the influencer. So this is where like the influencer marketing thing came into because, like, for example, we had a streetwear that was sponsoring an event, but they needed a traffic there. So they did a meet and greet with one of my influencer friends, and we drove traffic. And so that's how we got into influencer marketing because then I realized, okay, these events, they're already activating. Now they need to make this experience the best as possible to convert and gain leads or, make it a really good experience. So they leverage someone like an influencer to do that and even promote it on their end to drive traffic to that actual event. So this is, as I'm learning, right, I'm asking the agency, okay, cool, hey, this is what they need. Okay, cool, let me go find someone for you guys.
Wow, so you found an offering that complemented with the people that you wanted to end up collaborating with.
Exactly, and I would say that's the best way to define it is we complement each other, right? And that's why it becomes an access thing because you might not know X influencer, but X influencer might align with your brand. So when I'm submitting X influencer, sometimes the brand doesn't want anything to do with them. Sometimes the brand wants everything to do with them, right? So then you get into that, and then you start realizing, okay, cool, you start meeting with actual key stakeholders and making decisions, and they're saying, this is where their budget's being spent across 12 months. Where can I get involved, right? Okay, now if I find another event that maybe the agency that you're already brokering out doesn't have access to, that's where I come into place. Hey, I know you sponsored F1, but we have Daytona Beach 3 hours away, same demographic, same, a little bit less budget, but, is this something that you'd like to do?
Yeah.
And then that's kind of how we started actually transactioning with key stakeholders. It was never taking the business from the agency that put us on. It was more of like, okay, cool.
How can we support what you do and amplify you?
Exactly. Complement it. Right. And it's easier that way for us because we have a lot less liability with the client, right? Because
you have a middleman dealing with their client. And it's funny because we built a model as well that we connect service providers with brands, but we'll handle all the communication. So that the service provider just needs to worry about the service. They don't even do bill collection. Right. Like, a lot of people don't want to chase the bills. It's like, don't worry. We'll talk clients. We'll chase bills. You do what you do best and grow the shit. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So I would say that would be the best way to put it. We're working together, not against, if anything.
Yeah. Moving with the flow of things.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay, so I'm curious because I know you mentioned the TikTok stuff, and it's very relevant because it could be as soon as next week. Are you, as an insider, are you fearful of this ban? Are you? Where do you see things are going? Because like the conversation I had is like, look, obviously Trump is pro TikTok, but if it does ban, the attention is still used and it's just going to migrate to other platforms. We'll probably see like advertising cost on Meta completely decrease because so much more attention's there.
Right.
So I don't think the landscape's going to shape. You see now. Obviously, there's a China alternative called Red.
It's pumping. They're already telling America like, you shut us down. Yeah. We're here.
Yeah, now Americans are learning Mandarin.
Yeah.
It's just wild, and they're giving their data freely. And from someone that's obviously really integrated with the scene, where do you see the next, I guess, phase of this social media wave going?
Yeah, I mean, we're having this conversation a few days before a potential ban takes in place. Yeah. So what I say could be used for or against me, right? Because we don't know. I mean,
and I try to keep things evergreen, but it's just, I can't. How am I not going to talk about it with you sitting across me?
Oh, of course. I'll tell you what they're telling us. We're not going anywhere.
Of course.
Right? And they've been telling us for months, and then even as the ban takes into place, even as we're 3 days away, even before they're still having us operate as business as usual. And the confidence in, I mean, obviously it's their job to give us confidence, but the confidence in my leaders giving me that, hey, this is my job security. I'm in LA right now at TikTok headquarters. I'll be here for the next year, you know? As long as they're relaying that to me, and I think I'm pretty confident TikTok's going to be around. In November, they invited us out to headquarters. They had some people from China come out, and they told us, like, hey, you know, they are coming after us, but Trump told us we're good.
Yeah.
That was words exactly from his mouth. He said, Trump love us, right?
Daddy got us.
The timing of everything, obviously, Trump goes into presidency the day after the actual ban. So how much limitations he actually has is, you know, we don't know. Yeah. I would say that TikTok's not going anywhere.
Of course.
And that would be just my confident answer. But if it does, that opens up a lot of opportunity for one, let's say another platform to, you know, gain market share. Because, you know, Meta already has a ton of market share. Snapchat, they were popping for a little bit, you know.
I'm surprised. I know YouTube Shorts is coming out with an alternative, and they announced a partnership with Shopify. So it's like, having, you know,
the live,
When is this coming to fruition and letting which, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
But I do want to tap, because I know with your TikTok partnership that you talk about live and the activation of live. And I do think that live streaming is going to be, you know, that sector of content creation. When you look at the feed, the stories, and the short form vertical, live streaming is at its infancy, even though I think a lot of people believe that it peaked during the COVID time where attention went indoors. Where do you see live streaming going? Wow,
I love that you asked me that question, especially because we're at a point where people don't understand, right? It could be like the next big market gap, or it could be something that's dying out, right? And we're probably at like a 10% market penetration in the United States. China and all these other countries are probably over at like 30 to 40% of their daily users are consuming live streams. So they're about 8 years ahead of us when we look at the actual live streaming market. The last year, people started integrating live e-commerce. So, you know, 10 years ago, if you were like 2 a.m., you go up and turn on TV, you're gonna get an infomercial. Now I'm scrolling through live and I got an infomercial, you know? So I think the trajectory of where live is going is the future of social media, especially because of the brain rot and the attention spans. Live is real-time engagement. Like if someone's watching us live right now, any hiccups that happen, they get to see live. We can't script this, right? We can have a general idea of what we're talking about, but everything's natural. I don't know what you're about to ask.
Oh, we riff. We didn't plan it all.
Exactly. Now, if this is being live streamed, there is no editing. There is no. So it gives people more of the incentive of the real time.
That raw and that authenticity when they're in such a curated world, especially with the teleprompters and just the scripting. It's just like they want this true immersion of relatability, right?
Exactly. And then to give you even like a greater scheme of things, Netflix is a streaming platform. They just implemented live streaming, and it's not the same live streaming we're talking about where someone's on a, but they live stream the fight. They're live streaming the NFL, right? So you're not talking about just the consumer on a creator marketplace. You're talking about it as a consumer on any type of consumption, you know, given the fact that like if I watched football 10 years ago, I was going to turn on Cox. Now I'm on Prime. Or not Cox, Fox. Now I'm on Prime watching it. That's live streaming still at a T. And so you have people like Kai Cenat who are competing for these views on a live stream, right? Like a football game can get how many views, right? And Kai Cenat's doing 600,000 views, live current viewers, right? So now you're seeing that the entertainment side of things is actually over leveraging, you know, maybe some of these old NBA, NFL, traditional reality TV show, you know, things that are happening live are now being, you know, it's the creator economy is growing, and the live streaming is actually going to back that into turning creators into just social media, but into like a full lifestyle of like when I turn on TV, I'm going to watch someone live stream. I'm not going to watch the newest episode of Suits. You know, you get what I'm trying to say?
No, I get you. It's interesting because the mainstream media obviously dying, and now where we get the news, like you are the news, right? You are the media now, and you're seeing content of news articles or whatever relevant current events is going on outperforming the concurrent viewership or whatever you see from these mainstream media. And as you said, with the influencer economy, that's where a lot of people are now getting their news. Right? I mean, I've seen, as we speak, obviously the LA fires that are happening right now. It's just like I'm seeing boots on ground. And this isn't somebody trying to read a teleprompter or trying to report something. They're like, no, that's my crib. That's my neighbor. They're showing some immersive experiences and actually getting vulnerable with it. And
it's real time too. And it's less manipulated too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's super interesting because I have friends that are super anti-social media, and they all swear by the end of social media is coming. I'm like, look, social media is never going away. there will be new platforms that emerge. And
course.
it's like, what is a new platform that would happen? And I keep telling people, I'm like, VR is when
Yeah.
that technology catches up, it is VR. But what do you think, like, VR is it's a live streaming platform.
Yeah.
It's me wearing a helmet with an avatar that I'm live communicating with people and speaking and interacting with fans. And so I'm just saying, I'm bullish very live, and I know you are too.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because there's current technology right now where we can put VR, like Oculus, and I can be in a room with you, and I'm in Arizona, and you're here in Miami, and that's like live, right? So now you can imagine these concerts, right? I'm gonna put a VR on, I'm gonna be live at my concert, I'm gonna pay a ticket, but I'm gonna be at home watching this concert live. And so that's where like the gap is of like how can new platforms arise and how can new competitors come and compete. It is that transition from our cell phone to virtual reality, and I agree right with that, like 100%.
Yeah, my biggest thing is that people look at VR as innovating, and then you go to these events, especially like in the blockchain space. Like blockchain technology is innovated by nature because it is emerging technology.
Right.
And you go to these blockchain events, and they have a metaverse section, and it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of dudes wearing
Glasses.
VR headsets.
Yeah.
It's just like, this irks me. This is something dystopian. This isn't feel good, but it's like, going back to our events conversation, and I see a lot of problems with events as they are, and club culture is dying. Right?
Yeah,
The alcohol industry is not an industry I would bet for. I'd bet definitely against them.
Right.
And where do you see, I guess, the trend of things going, especially on the marketing side, especially with these activations? What can brands do differently to create a unique experience that really creates bonds between the brands and the consumers that they're seeking?
Yeah, and it's great that you mentioned that because especially when it comes to marketing, and experience is everything. What story are you telling? And so that's what events are for, right? To tell a story, to get people in the room, to collab and experience with your consumer. And that's why, even back to what I was saying earlier, that's why influencers are so important. Yeah. Because these guys would rather stay at home, watch that influencer than go to the event anyway. So that's why you leverage, talent booking to come to your experience, because the same, fandom, they're not coming for your brand, but that's attaching to your brand. And then you build an experience around that, right? So I definitely agree as far as why would I go to, like I said, Rolling Loud is a concert when I could watch it VR at home, relax, probably not pay the same amount.
Put it on Twitch, right?
And they streamed it on Twitch, right?
Yeah, and then I watch the interviews, which I can't really watch when I'm at the event.
No, exactly. Matter of fact, I can go from one stage to another stage, on my channel.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I went to Rolling Loud, but when I watched the live stream, I was like, the live stream was impeccable.
Yeah,
I haven't gone back to a Rolling Loud anymore because I'm getting crazy behind. I'm backstage.
Yeah. So And to even attach to that, the bigger problem is even with the 2020 remote work and everything like that, people are home more nowadays, right? But I'm a big, the sun is health, the sun is wealth.
Touch grass.
And, touch some grass, because then we really start to get internally manipulated. Because like I said, where do I get my news? I'm consuming it from my phone, right? Well, how do I know what's real? How do I know what's not, right? And that fosters that connection piece of things. And so I almost say that the social media industry is working against us in that favor, because they want everything to be, they want users, they want demand. So if the more I'm on my phone, the more the social media industry is, actually benefiting and profiting.
Yeah.
So I say that the events in social media, it's kind of like the hand in hand, I'd rather Netflix would rather have you watch live football rather than you pay for a ticket to go to the game.
Of course.
And now if I can do that with a Netflix subscription, you get what I'm saying?
My ticket into the game's included in what I'm already paying.
And then once you have these glasses, that you can put
I'm
on.
On the field, I'm courtside.
Yeah, I'm courtside for a quarter of the price, So I would say it's like a give or take to see where we go with the events, because I do feel like it is important that once people actually get out and experience events, they feel that. They get to see the difference between doing something at home and actually integrating. I'm actually surprised that you said that you had a better time online than you did. You probably have a more immersive experience because you get to see everything, from stage to stage as someone's manipulating, okay, this camera, that camera, that camera, and you're missing all the fluff, right? This guy's walking off stage, you're already on the next stage.
Yeah, I was hanging out with my friends. We're in the house, just cool, just hanging, talking amongst ourselves. But when I was over there, I remember I was
sweating, walking.
They're sweating. People are bumping into you. And you're just I'm protecting the smog.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's lit. It's lit.
Yeah. And that just goes down to your consumer, at the end user. How are the end users going to be consuming content? are they still going to feel the need to come and engage with you? Like, I guess that's a big part, because when you're looking at marketing, you know, if a brand can not have to spend $300,000 to come have you see them, and they can just spend that on ads and have that same video go from a live stream to now being consumed over clips, it's a better return on investment for the brand.
Yeah, I mean, their clips from the events are going to get more exposure than the event, and than all the members in attendance.
Literally, exactly. And that conversion could be used over 5 to 10 years rather than just that one-time experience.
I say the experience is the movie and all the clips of the trailer, right? It's all about getting attention back to the movie. Even long form is the movie, and it's very interesting of the cycle of content, right? Long form has a long-term growth trajectory versus short form has a short lifespan.
Yeah,
right? You want to
go
get
viral
that
for a
quick,
week, and you
just
need another viral clip.
That's it. You got to keep going with it and keeping up with trends. And you know, with these trends, what do you see working? What do you see? Share some light, because
I'd say live streaming. I'm going to double down on that, because what happened was, 10 years ago we had YouTube long form. I was able to come home, eat a snack, put on my favorite, vlog. I get to see.
Vlogging was huge. Yeah.
It was huge.
I think vlogging is actually going to make. I mean,
it's coming back.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It's all cyclical.
Full circle, exactly. So then people were like, then TikTok came out with just a short form, or Vine, where they can get this really quick dopamine, really quick, and get it at a mass level. So people were like, why am I going to sit on YouTube and watch this 30-minute video when I can just get to see the best parts by going on this clip page, right? But then that cooked our attention spans, that like, if it's not engaging within that first 3 to 5 seconds, I'm not watching it, right? And so that's where now creators have to leverage, live streaming, because no one knows what's next. No one knows what's going on. Matter of fact, people want to live the day with you. I'm a fan of you, bro. I want to see how you do day to day.
I have friends that leave it in the background while they're working. They just have their favorite streamers just chilling, and instead of them gaming, they're working, and they're watching. Because I mean, when you look at a game, especially a single player game, you're immersed in this first person story that's a movie.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, cool. You can play. I'm just watching you, and I'm still having the same experience.
And I get to see you experience the game. Yeah. Right. And
you're not alone.
You're not. Yeah. And it's cool, because I definitely think it's a weird model, because when I explain it to my mom,
it feels dystopian.
They're like, what do you mean? People just sit there and they gift people for
the gifting culture is so bizarre.
Yeah, and
all the boomers I talk to, they're like, that's money laundering for sure.
There's no way.
Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if some of them, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, because it's like for example, like Jack Doherty. I think one time we were doing a stream, and he had I think 20,000 people $20,000 in gifts within a 5-minute span. He put an incentive. He's like, hey, let's get this up. And he generated $20,000 of people gifting subs in under an hour. It was 30 minutes.
How many viewers?
He had 20,000. Okay. Yeah, it was he averages between 20 to 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Neon too as well. During his streamathon, I got to hang out with him. See, consistently every night he was at 50K. I mean, I don't mean to be putting people's business out there, but that also gives you
everybody's pocket watching these days, public.
Yeah, well, not even on a monetarily end, but on a the consistency of 50K over 7 days. That's could be real, could be fake. You get what I'm saying? So yes. I will put that. Working with a lot of content creators, has given me the making content's like making a movie. You have to have a script. You have to have something that's engaging enough for me to watch, the end user to watch. So in movies back in the day, they would spend a ton of money to sell you something that you're going to watch for an hour, or a TV series that you're going to watch across 5 seasons. That's what content creation is doing. We're going to sit in this room, we're going to conceptualize an idea, and we're going to try to bring it to life to gain your attention and hopefully retain your attention over time.
Which is interesting, because you say this, and immediately my head's like, okay, that differentiates the great creators from the okay creators. You look at Kai Cenat, go to what he does and what he did with Mafiathon, and even the Noodle Game, like that. Was I think a cultural shift, and then you start seeing all these other TikTokers like, now it's our turn to do the Noodle Game. But then you go and look at other creators that are just, I'm just gonna eat and chill.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna put. I don't. No one looks good making someone look bad, so I'm not gonna start naming bad creators. Right. But you could see which ones the effort goes a long way.
Of course, and I think that is the biggest thing that's not being displayed across the industry. Is the effort it takes to succeed and the amount of work you actually have to do. A lot of people think it's success overnight. A lot of, for example, I'll use Neon.
It is, though. It is success overnight, but the consistency needs to
be there.
You have to be there in order for that success to happen overnight. It happens super slow, and then it happens all at once.
I'll give you a perfect analogy. It's my perfect analogy. And you got a guy with an axe, and he's picking for gold, right? He's been picking for days. And then right before he hits gold, he gives up and walks away,
Of
right?
course.
And then you have the other guy who doesn't give up, been working for years, finally hits the gold. And everybody's like, how'd you get this gold? It's like, no, you don't understand. I had to really mine for this. Like, and so that's that same example of like when you get success overnight, it's those compounded wins over a long period of time, not those like, unless those very rare cases, you actually do blow up overnight,
Of course.
But like for Neon, for example, you see that online. People are like, how does he gain attention? Then I actually get to watch him work. He's a workaholic. Like he's detailed. He knows exactly what script, what time, who's coming in at what time, who needs to leave at what time. And
Yeah, I've heard some stories of how he goes and before the cameras are on, he's like, look, I'm going to play a character. I just want you to know if I offend you, like this is
That
what
is
the
Neon.
internet. Yeah, so it's very interesting to hear that.
Exactly, and you know why? Because when people get on live stream, they're buying into his story, like who he is. So if he's not that same person every single time, he's not going to have the same retention.
But is it sustainable?
It,
If you're not truly authentically, unapologetically you, is that stuff sustainable?
I'd say the true answer is no, because then you start becoming someone who's not you,
Yeah.
or you get burnt out being someone who isn't you.
It leads to burnout.
And so that's why it's not sustainable. But at the same time, like, is being an athlete sustainable? Is doing all that training over, like working every day, every single day, and then one day you just can't ever play football again.
Yeah.
So you grab the cash while you can, and then you set yourself up to be, financially stable to where you don't need that transaction, that conversion, that personality to go make money. And you see it a lot of time with athletes. All they know is how to do is play football, right? But once you take that football piece out of it, they don't know how to monetize, right?
It's funny you say this because I know a lot of athletes that get into business and then I see them, I consult them all the time because they're like, yeah, I just launched this like health product. I just launched this. And they're like kind of pitching in front of me and I'm like to somebody else. I'm like, I interject, I pitch from it. They're like, oh yeah, you should do his marketing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I realized they were doing football this entire time.
Whole
I was
time.
doing business while they were in the league training.
Exactly.
And that's why these things that seem like common sense, they're jumping into a
Right.
whole new field.
Yeah.
So being conscious of this, that you got to get the reps in.
Get the reps in, and that's what I tell people. So, and the more reps you do, it's the only way to shortcut time.
Yeah.
That's like the only way. If people want to get things overnight, do as many reps as you can, and then it's gonna cut. When it comes overnight, it might have took you 3 months, where it could have took someone 3 years, but you did the same amount of reps in 3 months that he did in 3 years.
Yeah.
But
Another thing to use your pickaxe analogy is that, you can get the reps in by using the pickaxe and hitting like a chop of wood, right? Or you can study from those that picked it, which is the sharpening of the blade.
Yeah.
And you can learn from reading these biographies of entrepreneurs, understanding their mistakes. And then if you get put in a scenario, you're like, oh, what did Elon Musk do? I read his biography. Oh, he did X, Y, Z. And he should have done ABC. I'm doing ABC instead.
I love that you said that, because I've had this thought over the last, the new years, how do I shortcut experience? It's reps. But you never, that's the whole other perspective of it is knowledge, right? So I don't have to put as many reps in if I know something someone else doesn't know, or I know something that someone does know that helped them get to something quicker. So I think that's a lot of the times people don't put that into perspective. Like, I can just pay a mentor to get where I want to be,
For sure.
right? And people kind of almost turn that like that's, I don't want to pay a mentor.
Well, most people that are saying you have to pay a mentor are mentors.
Yeah,
So
right.
they got something into it, but it's funny because when I was your age, they were athletes were all the crazy. Everyone was glorifying athletes.
Right.
And now your time, everyone's glorifying entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs.
And now it's so easy to get this information, so it's a lot easier to get those reps. And
Right.
when I was on social media, you would see, I guess influencers were just coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Like influencers
weren't really a thing. Celebrities were.
Yeah, and it was all really celebrities and normal
Yeah.
people and travel stuff. Now it's like your For You page is curated so that when you scroll, you're becoming a better person.
Right, yeah.
Right, it
and
depends.
depending on your algorithm.
Yeah, of course.
But it's crazy that you say that, because is that good or bad? Because now anybody can be providing value to anybody,
Yeah.
right? So, and that's kind of the big thing now too, is people have understand the attention economy. If I can get your attention, I can probably sell you. And so that's where people start, they go rent the cars, they go do this to get your attention, and then they sell you, but there's no actual viable product because they haven't gone through what you're looking to go through.
Yeah.
But they might have packaged up information that's all accessible to everybody, and then they're reselling it. So that's been the issue with mentorship, right? Obviously, people take a side eye because they don't know what's real and what's not. But like you said, the way to shortcut that axe is, well, if my axe is sharper, Well, if I never knew I could sharpen my axe to get to this end goal quicker, I would have never known. But Jim knows. Why don't I pay Jim, half of what it costs for me to,
And he gives you your axe.
Exactly, right? So, and that's what opens up business models too,
Yeah.
right? That opens up, okay, I've done this for such a long time. I know how to do it the best. I no longer need to do it. I'll teach someone how to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if you're going to start if you're going to create a model, I think you should be a consumer of said model from somebody that's winning in that field. So like if you are going to do mentorship, hire a mentor.
Right.
It's crazy how many people don't
Of course.
buy their own,
Their own service.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another time, a lot of people are cheap with their services, right? And so, like, for example, I want to be a content, let's just say I want to be a content creator, right? I have to understand the investment of being a content creator other than time.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to look at what resources I needed. And then where am I allocating my time and resources, meaning that, all right, am I going to spend more on edits because I know it's going to get to my consumer? Or am I going to spend more on ads because I know I'm going to sell the product more? Or am I going to spend on product development? And this is what I'll say, in this economy, the marketing dollars are better than the product development dollars, right? Because
dude, you could market a landing page and get sales before a product comes out.
before product even comes, or before you even have money to develop a product,
Yeah.
right? And so there's definitely been quotes that have been stated in that realm, like go get your product to the consumer and then develop a good product. Because at the end of the day, you can spend tons of money, tons of time, tons of resources developing the perfect product, but no one knows about it and no one buys it.
I just hate that.
And
I
it
know
sucks.
it's a reality in the world that we live in, but it's just like that leads to so many mediocre products.
So many.
And it's just all just like how many times I signed up to a money back guarantee free offer, and then like I'm like, this is trash, and I go to refund it, and they're like, yeah, the money back guarantee comes out with 1,000 different things, and it's
Yeah.
like, damn, you just finessed me,
Yeah, which sucks because now it's like, people are investing to what looks good or what they think is good, and then they are actually getting the wrong end of the stick.
Yeah.
Because these guys are, granted, they might have spent a ton of money building a brand, but like what I'm buying is the value that you're giving me. And the value, I'm giving you value by giving you money, but what I'm receiving in exchange is a mediocre product.
Yeah.
And so as much as it sucks, I still would say to this day, like, worry about the marketing.
For sure.
Deal with the product at the end, because we can't control the economy that we're in. I can have the best product and then nobody buys it, and then I'm out of luck.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. I can work on both, but making sure my consumers understand what I'm selling. So that's what I would say.
Which is interesting because so we run a performance. I wouldn't say performance agencies.
Yeah.
We run a performance community, and this community comes together and they really just perform. And whatever skill or trade that is, marketing is probably the most dominant of that. And what we're doing is teaming up with people that are very product centric,
Right.
where they focus on the greatness of a product, and then we're like, okay, cool. Let's plug in the ecosystem and amplify the marketing to that. Which,
Yeah.
as you say this stuff, and I know there's people out there that think the same way as me. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna market this and fake a bunch of people, and you lack your stickiness. You're gonna increase your churn because the product's not there.
Yeah.
But there are people out there that need the skill sets that you may have that are willing to partner with you.
Right. And I love that you mentioned that, because at the end of the day, it does turn, selling a product that's not valuable does end up into longer term descalability,
Yeah.
right? Unless you can figure out the product development in the process and using the profits that you're making to get back into the product. But to your point, it's making sure you worry about what you're good at, and that's something that, like, for a long time, people have such a hard time giving up control.
Yeah.
Right? They want their product to be their product A through Z. But if you were literally just to focus on what you're good at and then go outsource what you're not good at,
Yeah.
it's so much easier, because then you have a good product, good marketing. You might make less margins, but you're actually providing value to the marketplace in that
Yeah,
sense.
and you could take more volume, which
And
leads
more
to
volume
smaller
now.
volume of a larger pie, right?
Exactly. And so I think that's the most important part, especially if you're a startup or you're a new entrepreneur. Don't be afraid of partners. Don't be afraid of going and looking for someone to take your amazing idea to the next step. Even if it's not their idea, they might be the person that gets it to market.
Yeah.
And so partner up. Find people who do what you don't do well.
Which is great. So first, I want to say that identify what it is you're good at. Are you good
Yeah.
at sales? Are you good at management? Be clear with that and understand what you're partnering up with. I think partnership is like assembling the Avengers.
Yeah.
Everyone has a unique skill, and they all kind of complement together.
Of course.
So someone being you, I went to dinner the other day, and my buddy told me, he goes, I have 4 rules that I live by. First rule, I only work with people that believe in God, because they have a higher sense of a moral compass. Where he's
Right.
like, okay,
Moral
I trust
compass,
them.
huge.
Yeah. The second thing, I don't work with people that are overweight, because if you can't take care of your body, probably can't take care of the business. It's like, okay, I respect it.
Okay.
Number 3, I don't work with people who cheat, because if you cheat with the person you sleep with, you're definitely going to cheat on the person you do business with. And the 4th rule is I don't do business with people from Miami. I was like, all right.
Okay.
And then he goes, I think I'm gonna break the 4th rule to work with you.
Okay.
So as you know, somebody that talks a lot about partners, how did you go about finding partners that you can trust, especially in a city so shady?
Wow. I mean, this is the truth, and those 4 truths are truth.
Crazy.
Literally true, including number 4. Miami has a talent issue. There's not actual valuable talent. Whether you're looking for someone to come mow your lawn, or it's a lot of half-assers. This is my opinion on Miami since I've been here, right? They don't have that extra, like.
If you show up on time and deliver 100%, you're good. They will refer you. You will get a growing book of business.
Right, and Miami doesn't have a good taste of that, right? And so what I'll say for me is I agree with those 4 rules, entirely. But rule number 5 is to never overlook someone for their potential. But then also don't define your relationship based off potential. Define it based off actual value. So I could see the best in someone and retain that. Like your boy is saying, those 4 things are important. My non-negotiable is the God one, the moral compass, right? Because you have to have a moral compass. If you don't have a moral compass, there's no one that's really like good or bad. Everything is just your discretion. So for me, that's like the number 1. But those 2 things, you can have someone that's out of shape and then locks in, turns into like, a beast, and you see it all the time. Then you have that 3rd aspect of things. Or what was the 3rd one? Cheating. Ooh, loyalty is everything. Loyalty is everything. And if you can't be loyal to the person that you're committed to, definitely can't be loyal in business.
You share a bed with.
Yeah, you share a bed with. Right. Like, and this is not even monetarily. This is just for sex. You don't think you'll cheat me for some money?
I know.
Okay, come on now. Like, So I'm very like, loyalty is everything for me, over everything. Like everything. That's like my number 1 thing is loyalty. How like the people that like with the partners and stuff like that, I gauge them based off like what things are they willing to do without, like how are they moving? Not just with me, with everybody. We're going to the restaurant. Like, how are you treating that waitress? So these are like little key things of like how I've defined my partners, but it's really like defining what I'm not good at and then seeking that. Because the issue is if I go find someone who has equal strengths to me, we could probably build something and grow quicker. But the issue with that is there's so much, we're allocating the same resources and time to the same things.
Of course.
And that makes things, take longer.
It's not an effective use of resources.
It's not effective use of your resources. So my better off time would be like, okay, I'm not good at content production. Okay, let me go find a production team. I'm great at marketing. I'm a great salesperson. So for me, it's always been finding that gap of like, okay, cool. Everybody needs revenue. I know how to go get revenue. But the person that I'm going to go get revenue for has to be able to deliver and make sure that I can ask for the price that I'm asking because I know my it's a white glove service. You get what I'm saying? So I always make sure that the person that I'm going into business with, they're an exceller, excellence. Like you said, they're a high performer because it allows me to do my job easier. And the way I learned that, honestly, was hiring VAs, right? Going through that VA search of like, these guys are virtual and who knows the work they put in. But I started noticing some habits of and it's always being proactive, not reactive. So a proactive person, I'll always be willing to go into business with because you're not waiting. You're always going and getting. So something that I might not even think about, I know that I have that bandwidth of someone else thinking about.
Yeah.
So that's how I would define that answer. But I still don't have it fully defined, especially because we're a growing business and we've had bad partners in the past.
In order to find good partners, you have to have bad partners.
Right to know. Yeah, exactly.
I say, and it's very interesting because like a thought came up, and I don't know. I feel like who else am I gonna have this conversation?
Yeah.
With, Vex Bolts was left in 2024, biggest Mastodon following.
Right.
If you were his consultant, what would you have told him to handle that entire attention? I mean, that guy was getting crazy attention. What do you think he could have done differently?
I mean, that situation was like...
That was such a crazy anomaly. And I just felt like he was a kid and didn't really capitalize on it.
Yeah. I mean, with that, it goes back to team, right? Like, who was around him?
A bunch of kids that he grew up with, most likely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who was around him? And on a consulting end, I would just say, learn from this. Because there's going to be another moment where he can rise. He just has to capitalize, like you're saying. Like 2024 was huge, and then
yeah, I mean, no, he fell, and then he did like a whole went to a coffin. I'm dead, and then 2025 I came out of a coffin. I was like, all the time I'm like, how did you just not rebrand?
yeah,
How did you not say Vex Bolt is dead? Now I am Next Bolt and got a haircut.
Ooh. See, hey, you beat me to that. I was give him a call, bro. I was just like,
I mean, geez, brother.
no, and I think that goes back to having the right people around you, because that idea that you just mentioned, like, you just needed one person to tell him that, you know, just it could have been you that told him that, and then who knows what goes on in 2025. And that's why I said it's very important to have the right people around you, because it's that thought process.
Yeah.
You know, he did that crazy, and didn't capitalize. Like,
absolutely. So, you know, going back to athletes not having the experience in business, and what you're saying is like someone like that not having the people around him. A lot of these people that have that attention economy figured out don't have the right business side around them. And you're saying like, oh, I should have been next, you know, I should have reached out, whatever. But for all those that are watching, you're, you know, from what I've seen, Jack Doherty, Little Pump, like you're around these people. And how does somebody really how do you build these connections with these influential people that are honestly somewhat clouded or filled with ego, and they might look at somebody like, right? They don't like, you didn't grow up with me. I don't trust you. How does one penetrate that market?
I love that you said that, because it goes back to what you just said. That idea that you had is such a value add, it's almost irreplaceable. And so even if example, you were in that situation to be able to tell him that, maybe he might have just overlooked it, but trust me, he remembers. So for me, like I said, it's never a sale. So when I'm in the room, I understand that these people have an ego. They have the attention, all the attention they want. They don't need me to go speak to them. Matter of fact, when I'm coming to speak to them, they're like,
what does this guy want?
Yeah, like they're just waiting to you gonna be sign something or like what's up. But when you speak, people can tell right away the value that you're provided, the expertise that you have, and what you know. So for me, it's always been never about making a sale, but subliminally talking, speaking, asking questions. And then when I'm asking questions, it's almost like doing a discovery call with a client, right? But at a very like subliminal way. Because you're right, these creators have a great way of grabbing attention, right? And that's what they're good at. But signing a contract, knowing terms and agreements, knowing usage rights, knowing, you know, retainer models, funnels, knowing, you know, that's what they don't understand. And it goes hand in hand, the same thing with brands. Brands understand and businesses understand that they need this to succeed and to generate revenue. They just don't know how to capitalize on attention. And so, like, that's literally what we built our business off of, right? Leveraging influencers. And so for me, it's never about, like, you know, trying to prove my point when I meet you. It's making sure that I get my point across, that, like, I could be someone that may help you. And then I go find value to bring to you. And then once that value's been brought to you, whether it's executed or not, you kind of have a general gist of like, okay, this, and that's how I've been able to, like, the same thing with the agencies, right? I didn't really understand what's going on with this event activation. Why do you have this QR code? Like, why are you making them sign before they activate with you or do anything with you? Okay, it's a lead. It's a lead. Okay, cool. So now when I'm speaking to the next person, everything that I just learned from that one person,
rolled it over to the
just
next.
rolled it over. But now I'm the expert, not because I've done it before, but because I took time to learn, right, and understand and ask questions, right? And so then when I'm executing, guess what I'm doing? I'm learning. I'm saying, okay, cool. It's my first execution. Now I know the next time what I need to do to structure, and that just takes the time, experience, and the willing to go do that, right? So to answer your question in simple terms, when I'm around these guys, I understand that they know how to grab attention, but they might not know how to really capitalize monetizing or understanding how much marketing leverage they have, right? And I keep that noted, but I make sure when I'm speaking to them, that's kind of the way we're talking. It's somewhat business related. It's not about a crazy stream that you did like 2 weeks ago. It's not about, I could care less. I really don't even watch social media. I'm not a consumer. I'm not.
Creator over consumer.
Yeah, I'm really not. So there's a lot of things I don't know about, but I hang out around with enough people in here to kind of notify me. And then I use that as leverage. You know, and so you see these pump giveaways, these, you know, Tesla challenges. You see, all these are brands investing into these creators to go do these things. Why? Because it gets them attention. So I'll give you a perfect example. Kurgo did a sponsorship with Jack. They gave him some money and they put his face on a Tesla. And then what Jack did with that is he did a
touch challenge.
That's invaluable because this is being streamed. You have actual experience. People have a chance to win a car.
Clips.
And all the clips and everything that happens to make the challenge crazy, everything that they did enter. And the face of all that, it's Kurgo on the back of that with Jack's face. You know, it was all... that's a long-term play because in 5-10 years, people remember that. Like Kurgo is one of those, you know, they're a hitter, but they're not a heavy hitter. They're not steak. They're not. But over time, the more they work with these, you know, creators with attention, they leverage that, right? But someone like Jack understands that. Someone like Lil Pump might not. You get what I'm saying? Or he might have not ever been presented that opportunity because he's in the booth making music. He's always been worried about making a label deal, not endorsement deals. His label handles the endorsements. He's never had to think about none of this. But now we're in a world where people are understanding, I don't need a label. I can go independent and do it myself, right? And these creators are making more money than artists because why? They have attention,
athletes.
Right? Any athletes, right? So for me, it's always understanding that that's the value that I bring is figuring out that I don't know how to grab attention like you do, but I know how I can turn that into a funnel.
What to do with that attention?
I don't even know what I would do with that attention.
Yeah. No, I meant you don't know how to get the attention, but you know what to do.
What to do with the attention? Okay, right. Yeah.
So I'm curious because you said it. Go to the places that these people would generally be. Do you ever get targeted with like, oh, I want to work with this person. I have this concept for this person. I'm gonna track them down and see where they are and kind of create this, or you're just kind of going to these places and seeing who's there and just kind of working the room and then kind of going a little bit of riffing off the cuff.
Yeah. So I'll tell you,
like the TikTok deal, that was super serendipitous, and you just kind of
it just kind of and to be fair, even the relationship with TikTok, it wasn't under the scope of work I was currently doing. Yeah. It was under obviously the industry with obviously working with creators, but TikTok's ask for us was to go get live streamers and teach them how to live stream, right? And teaching them how to live stream, it sounds funny, but it really just is like everybody's in an economy where they're using content, they're consuming it, and a lot of people want to produce it. Right now, TikTok is a platform with so many monthly users. If they convert 1, 2, 3% of people into live streamers, they make more money in general. So for them, instead of all these monthly users, they'll just broker out an agency to go deliver that aspect of things, right? So that's kind of how the relationship works with TikTok. But that was nothing to do with my scope of work, right? Yeah. I was like, if TikTok wants to go pay an influencer, we can go find that influencer. But they're saying, no, go find these people to now go generate on the platform. And so that was like something that we had to be willing to go do, but it opened so many more doors for us because now that's a different leverage point. Like we're internal with
that gives you prestige too. I mean,
prestige, credibility, gives you trust. So it was a risk that honestly took a lot of de-escalating our whole business model to try to implement this. To learn, like actually like what makes a good live streamer? What are the highest earning live streamers? How do I get someone from this platform to that platform? Why do people pick platforms? And that takes time to learn. And so that might be like, as I'm learning this other stuff, it really was conflicting to the business because it was BT Awards. We actually went out there, but we were working on Jake Paul's fight for sponsorships. And that takes a toll of like trying to find these really high-end clients. And then TikTok's asking, can you do this? Yes or no? So that was a challenge for us of like, okay, like where do we
take this?
If we close this deal with Jake, the amount of revenue that's being brought into the agency is enough for us to be, for the next 6 months. It was like that high ticket.
Yeah, but it was a
one-off situation, right? And after that, I could say, yeah, I've worked with Jake, but like, I can't take that prestige with me everywhere. Yeah. Being under contract with TikTok, I can.
It's recurring. It's long.
And it's reoccurring. It's monthly, and so. It was a give or take. It took a lot of our resources. It took a lot of my business partners going from trying to find leads for sponsors and this and that to let's go find creators, not leverage creators. Because to tell you about the program, it's an incubator program. So if someone's already established on the platform, we can't manage them.
Gotcha.
So now it's like our target market of like trying to find these highly leveraged influencers for brand deals to now finding that gap of like potential talent.
Yeah, people that are popping off maybe on Instagram and have no presence on TikTok.
Have no presence on live or even on TikTok, just never live stream. Because mind you, people are just doing short form. But how many of these short form people are live streaming? Not a lot because live stream is still pretty new. So TikTok's like, okay, cool. We need to fix. Base understanding is this. They have such a big demand of users that are consuming content, they need higher quality creators. So the creators that are on there actively, they have, their top 20%, but they have a bottom 80% who are barely touching the surface. So if they can increase the output of these creators, they're meeting a demand for their consumer, and then they're making more money as a whole.
Yeah.
So they're open to giving us some of their share of what they're, because we don't monetize from the creators. TikTok pays us directly,
Nice.
right, from their share. So it was a really interesting thing, but it took a whole turn of like marketing, events, to now like, okay, let's figure out like this incubator and create a program. And wait, I don't even live stream myself. Like, let me go find actual live streamers who can help support our initiative here. And then how much time is this taken away from what we're doing here? Well, this one's going to be recurring, so let's invest so much time and resources and go hard, get it to a sustainable level, and then let's kind of like dial back and then go back into the market and try to, but it's a lot, speaking into you, it's just like, it was really overwhelming, and it's still really overwhelming. But it was one of those things that like that relationship would have never opened up if we didn't take a risk to go out to the BET Awards to try to gain a client for sponsorships, brand deals, try to find talent, But now that opened a whole new door to now 6 months down the line. It's January, it's a whole new initiative.
They become a little less overwhelming because you got your feet under you and you got these systems and processes and people in place.
Right, and I've learned, I've gone through the fail, and we're still failing, we're still winning, we're still failing, we're still winning. We're going to keep failing, we're going to keep winning. I understand that now.
You can't get one without the other.
Yeah, exactly. So, and understanding that has been a big key of just being in this, because a lot of times you're like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Because being an entrepreneur, you could go to sleep tomorrow and then say, I'm done. And it's done just like that.
Yep.
You get what I'm trying to say? So it's.
So interesting because, TikTok, it's all the craze. It's the hottest platform right now. But I kind of want to move it another direction to what I call a sleeper, where it's been around longer than TikTok.
Yeah.
And yet some magical, special things are happening. And it's what's been brought to my attention lately, and it's
Snapchat.
Have you seen what's going on in this platform?
No. So maybe you can enlighten me.
Yeah, because it's crazy. A girl that was an influencer on all the other platforms, she's now kind of amongst our influencer network, the queen of Snap. And she's been teaching all these other influencers because she's making $15,000 a month, posting regularly.
You're talking about the monetizing.
Which is,
it's crazy.
No, this is even crazier. She showed me her performance on her stats. In the past 30 days, 100 million views. 97% were not her followers.
Yeah.
That's just on the spotlight.
She's good at clickbait.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And but she says it. She's like, I just document my life. And she's like, and it can't be, she does have an OnlyFans, not like one of those naked hardcore ones.
Yeah.
But she's just like, I can't promote my OnlyFans because it's like, I can't go twerking, but I go to dance classes. So I'm just showing them behind the scenes. And it's crazy because she's part of this agency that she's showing me some of the people in the agencies, what they're posting. And selfies, answering Q&As. And they're like, this girl's making $5,000 a month, $150,000. And I'm just like, how is Snap?
Do you understand the model on why? Or
with the attention and then
or how they're monetizing?
Please.
All ad revenue.
Yeah, it had to.
So they're not like, it's not like people are gifting. It's not like people are. Yeah, she's probably converting on maybe those other platforms. But what's happening is these Snapchat ads. So that's why she probably posts 100 times a day, doesn't she? Like she probably posts.
No, she told me you have to post 100 times a day.
Yeah.
10-second clips.
Yeah.
1,000 seconds. It's about 16 minutes. I did the math.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like 15 minutes out of your life. Do that. She said you do it for 3 months. You get the badge of verification, which is when you start getting monetized. And from there.
Yeah, it's just all ad revenue. And to be very specific, the biggest case I've seen, $327,000 in 1 month.
Yeah, which is
on their half, meaning that they generated, because I think it's a 50-50 split between, they're called
so they're getting a rev share from the ads.
Rev share, that's what it is. And that's why you post 100 times a day, because like, let's say I'm going through your story, you know how stories work, right? They want to add every third. Exactly. Whatever. So you post 100, and then you have these really clickbaiting thumbnails on the over spotlight. That's why 3% of them were her viewers, because everybody's clickbaiting.
Of course.
And then, obviously, like maybe she's an attractive girl. They're trying to get to that actual clickbait. And every time, it's the last thing she posts. So she's at 100 posts. To get to that 100 posts, how many ads do I got to go through?
15, 16 ads, which, so then that poises the idea that Snapchat is generating ad sales.
Yeah.
So the advertising on Snapchat's probably a market worth exploring.
Especially
if they have
right
that
now.
Much money to distribute.
Especially right now. Because Snap, it's probably one of the highest paying ads.
Out of everything I've seen, out of all the creators I know,
yeah,
Snap is paying out insane.
So yeah, just for people to know the qualifications, you have to do a minimum of 25 million views in a 30-day span to enter that like first pool, and then have around 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, and I think it's 15,000 hours watched.
Yeah, something like that. Some watch time. So yeah, because people could be clicking through your shit, and that's why some people go from 100 posts to 200 posts, because their posts are so irrelevant they don't get watch time. So they have to do more to get that same amount of watch time. Where if I'm posting a 15-second clips and it's like, I'll tell you, this guy, his name's Alex, he just car accidents, crazy car accidents. It's kind of crooked, but.
I was just thinking of it. I'm like, if you're right now in LA and you're just filming the entire fires for the next 30 days, you'll probably instantly become, because it's immersive and it's current
timing,
and it's relevant. I mean, it's dark, but like it's just the reality. If you can put your emotions aside and see opportunity and chaos, your life can change.
Wow. Repeat that one more time. No, being so serious.
Yeah, right. If you put your emotions aside and understand the opportunity within the chaos, your life can change.
Yeah.
And it's wild because it's like
very important.
It's happened in New York. I know the story of the traders that were watching the planes hit the towers.
Yeah.
And immediately they're like, short American Airlines.
Oh yeah, then this is the 08 stocks.
Yeah.
People were like, the mortgage housing is gonna fail, everybody's gonna go bankrupt. Let me short the housing market.
Yeah,
you
put
know,
your emotions aside.
And those people were I guess GameStop was a little bit more manipulated, but and you tend to see, honestly, I tend to think a lot of these things are manipulated now because we've seen such high success stories of like what happened with the 08 market, the people who shorted the mortgage market, the people who shorted the plane, So now they're almost, they get to greedy. They start to manipulate things, and that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But there is definitely, there is no better time now. I think we are entering a new era of what we're seeing, the transition of this darkness into light. And I think that now more than ever, we're seeing a shift in power, especially from like the ruling class to the people. And we're going to see less competition, more collaboration, us living harmoniously. And it's going to be a great time. This, to me, especially even with cryptocurrencies, like our children won't be able to own one Bitcoin. No. That's not going to happen. Especially,
not at all.
Yeah, if you just wait another 20 years. Okay, if you think it's crazy now.
Kids can't afford it now. People can't afford it now. Like, what makes you think in 10 years? Because that's ultimately, kind of gives us more back our power, especially when it comes to the market. No. And then there's that evolution of life. And this is one of those evolutions of life that we're in currently. We're seeing day to day. And like my message to people is like, the time is now. Like whatever situation you're in now, it's like, if you think 10, 15, it's going to be completely different.
It's totally, you can't forecast that. So especially with AI, especially text to video.
Yeah.
The text to video models, you're going to have Pixar in your phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to say an idea and it will make me a movie that I could, content creation is going to change. Mm-hmm. Everything's going to change. So just capitalize on it now. And then when the time comes for, adjustments and audibles.
Adjust with the market, unless you can do it before. But
if you could predict them,
but you can't decide where that going. But that's how you also hit those really like one in a lifetime stories, is catching a gap before and making sure you're right, But move with the market. Like a lot of people 5 years ago, 10 years ago, TikTok came out, they laughed. Kitty videos.
Who would have thought? Like I got to work a job when I could have been dancing on TikTok during the pandemic.
Right, yeah. Like. And people would laugh, and it was such a cute little thing. TikTok is out, and now
I see people dancing.
Yeah,
it's like I would have been doing this all pandemic if it meant.
Yeah, if it meant what it meant today, and so that gives you that idea of like, now they're a heavy hitter, and I'll tell you like there should be very scared of what TikTok has the potential to do with that data, because it could, like I said, attention is our biggest resource right now. And they own the information of all of our attention, our algorithms.
Well, and that algorithm's way more curated than all the other platforms. They figured it out. And on top of it, you look at China's TikTok versus our TikTok. Yeah, they're two different TikToks. They're very fleshed out. We've seen features that, like the TikTok shop, they've been had that.
And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, if you understand where TikTok is as a platform, they're literally 10 years ahead of any other platform. Yeah. And Amazon now is starting to mirror live shopping. They just implemented live shopping, and that's a program that they're doing. These creator incubator programs.
You see it on the homepage of Amazon.
Right. They're running ads on this stuff, Why? Because TikTok's already made a name. They went this year, they did TikTok Shop. It's been around for probably like I would say under 14 months, and they're doing probably like, I would say 30% of e-com value
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
the
say
world.
Walmart numbers probably.
No, probably more because
Yeah,
of because e-commerce though, across the world.
Crazy.
You got, you know what I'm saying? Walmart's huge, but now what reach do you have? You know, like I don't know if Amazon's across the world. I really don't, and I don't think people really understand the financial state of what TikTok like. Just to give you an idea, in the United States and Canada combined, $10 million a day from live streaming.
Oh, just from live
From
streaming.
TikTok live.
Not even. Oh, I thought you were gonna say. I'm
No,
like,
no ad. I know $10 million a day seems like light for something.
No, but I thought you were gonna say like from content tagging. No, it's exclusively on live.
From lives, meaning that every day they transact $10 million from people being gifts. They don't do any ad revenue on live. If you go on live, you're not going to get ads.
There's no ads, yeah.
No. So how are they monetizing?
It's from the shop.
No.
It's transaction volume, no?
So, okay,
Fees?
Shop is an e-commerce program. I'm talking straight live entertainment. So you see people go do the shop, right? That's probably a whole nother number.
What,
I'm talking
gifted?
about gifting. Gifts.
Oh, 10 million on gifting on.
Gifting in the
Oh,
United States.
I thought it was live streaming shopping. So you're talking about 10 million a day off just like Galaxies.
Now, like, does that make sense to you?
People
like-
are donating $10 million a day.
It doesn't make any sense. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't, but this is valid, very true. Like, this is live entertainment in the United States and Canada combined, and for TikTok does $10 million a day. And if you understand how many monthly users that platform has, you would understand why. It's crazy.
And these are all mostly like microtransactions if you think about it.
No, okay, so this is how TikTok does it. One coin is like 1 penny.
Yeah.
So they make it easy for you to, but to a minimum buy is like, you can obviously buy like a minimum $2, but most minimum purchase spends on gifting is like 10, 20,
yeah.
$30, right? Then they have the Galaxies, right? So like a Galaxy is like $100. Then Unicorn, Lions, you know? We have a
What's
creator.
the rev share on the gifted? Like on
50-50.
Oh, so if you give me a gifted, I made 50, TikTok made 50?
Yep. And then that's where we come into place. Our agency gets a cut from
Percentage on
TikTok's.
TikTok side, the
yeah.
50. Ah,
Right. And so
good deal.
yeah, I mean, it's based off. So it's crazy. We get paid more off incubators. So the less the creator is established, the more we get paid.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Bigger share.
Yeah, bigger share, and then obviously because TikTok's not going to want to be giving up a big chunk of people who are already established. So, but to give you that idea, if they're doing $10 million a day right now in 2025,
What do you think they're going to do in the next 6, 7, 8 years?
So they showed us some numbers of live streaming projections 2028. And this wasn't even financial numbers. It was market share numbers, right? And they were giving us not even live streaming. So they had players up there like Prime, Netflix, TikTok, Big O, Twitch. So like TikTok's here. The next biggest live streaming platform is Big O, which is an app out of China. Then there's Twitch, and there's like Kick is at the very bottom.
Of course.
And then you have the biggest streaming platform, which was
Prime.
Netflix.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, and TikTok was very bold enough to say, our
It's going
competitors
to take over Netflix.
Our competitors aren't here
It's
with
up.
these live streaming, and that's what they mean by like gaining people's attention and really buying them into an ecosystem. I come home, instead of me putting on Netflix, I'm going to put on my favorite live streamer.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the
Like,
look
which
at
Tyson Nat.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at look at Spotify's catalog. It's impossible to go through Spotify's entire catalog.
Yeah, no.
It's impossible to go through every piece of content on TikTok.
Yeah, no, very impossible.
Give me a month. I'm pretty sure I'll go through everything on Netflix. Right?
Yes.
Like the competition there, and it goes back to Coca-Cola saying like, you think Pepsi's our competition?
Yeah.
Water's our competition. We're going for mouth share. And,
See.
Yeah.
And that's what defines like the ball players. You know what I'm saying? And it's TikTok's like not even looking at Twitch's competition. You know, like they're like on their live platform, and I think Twitch actually had live before.
They were a live streaming platform
before TikTok implemented live, right?
Yeah.
And well, obviously, then you have to look at the monthly users and what it takes to drive traffic to something like that. You know, it's still a lot, you know, but it's never been about like you guys have Kais and that. You guys, it's been about like how, and that's why that algorithm is so important, because the algorithm understands consumer behaviorism, so they can start projecting their platform to where they want it to be in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and then slowly start implementing it. They had live shop in China like 10 years ago. They were doing that a minute ago. You know, they're like laughing at the speed of America, like actually coming, but they understand that they're not gonna just overwhelm us. They're gonna slowly unravel unpeel the onion.
Very slow, and then all
Yeah.
at once.
And then all at once you look at market share, and it's what Netflix did. People thought they were competing with Blockbuster. They just took out Fox.
Mainstream media is gone.
Netflix did, right? But 10 years ago, Fox wasn't worried about a call about Netflix. Fox wasn't worried. CBS wasn't worried about.
Brother, Netflix killed the movie industry.
Killed the movie. Like
why would I go pay for a movie? And I could just wait 2 months.
2 months. At first, it was like 3 months, maybe a year. Now it's 3 months. A movie gets on there, and if it's not on Netflix, it's going to be on one of these other platforms.
Yeah.
Because they have the money. Now they have the money. They have the users. They have the. And so for Netflix, for them, like they're a perfect example of that threat that wasn't a threat until they were a threat. You get what I'm saying? Like even 5 years ago, the NFL, maybe the TV was like, the broadcasters were like, oh shit, Netflix. The movie guys were like, oh shit. But the league wasn't like, or, like we're going to go sign a deal with Netflix. And then Bezos went and signed Prime with, a Thursday Night Football. Now Netflix is like, now Paramount and these guys are signing contracts. But now it's in the benefit for CBS. So CBS is smart. They partnered with Paramount because they get to keep the game, but now they're just doing streaming. So they're growing with, the live streaming market, the streaming services. They're not getting cut out the pie. But someone like NBC, who's their home? Who's their partner? Like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. I mean, Netflix kind of made the move with WWE. So
and
we're going to start seeing some of these mergers and acquisitions come into place.
Because WWE bought the UFC.
Amen, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like TKO.
Yeah, and that's what's going on, and we don't even understand the conversations that are happening now. If they're going to be impacting, the next 3. They already have stuff in place they're just slowly moving. They just have to wait for us to adapt. So we're already heading in this direction.
Yeah. They're just kind of holding our hand and just saying,
exactly.
like, hey, when you're ready, new update. And they're like, we've been waiting for 6 updates already.
Yeah, exactly. And they're feeding it to us the way we want because we just want more. And it's just interesting just to know where we're at with broadcasting too, being completely going to be gone in 5-10 years.
Right. Yeah, it's everyone's now a media company.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. It's funny. You said like, oh, we don't know the conversations they're having. People are listening to this and probably like, we don't even know the conversation we're having.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you guys know more. Exactly.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So let me, I always like to have a segment. I call it clip farming, right?
Yeah.
So if you can, rapid fire, drop some value. What do you got? Things it doesn't have to be in the realm of what we had, what we've spoken about. I just want to kind of leave it open to you.
I just had this thought that I wanted to speak because it kind of like really had with our conversation that we're having. So if you really think about, the influencer market, and I'll give you a perfect example with the whole Logan Paul Prime situation, right? They did more revenue than Powerade last year. Powerade's been around since 1948. I go to the gas station right now, I see a Prime, I see a Powerade. I personally like Powerade better. Powerade tastes like Prime is disgusting, but they just outsold a company that's been in business since 1948. And they own, it's equitable, right? They own equity in Prime. It's not like someone's giving them a partnership, a brand ambassador deal. They own that. So you have to understand the economy and social media and where it's going. It's like it's either you are the brand, you are the business, or you collaborate with businesses, but you're the leverage point now, if you're a creator, right? And so I think it's very important for people to understand that social media, we're not just making content for, attention, but it's a means of business. It's a means of transacting. And these business owners need to understand as well, especially these local businesses, these smaller businesses, you have to start using social media to convert. You have to start being willing to pay some influencers to promote your brand because that's important. And I think that the reason I wanted to say that is because right now is what we see it isn't what we're going to see in 5 years, right? Mr. Beast is going to have 5 different businesses and they're all going to be bigger than not just Feastables, there's going to be, Kai Cenat, like for example, the McDonald's
collab
was crazy, but that chicken Big Mac was his Big Mac. Like they built that chicken Big Mac around Kai Cenat. McDonald's is the biggest fast food chain in the world, and they just made a product off
Kai Cenat. The biggest restaurant in the world.
Probably easily the biggest restaurant. Now, I'll even give someone a greater idea. McDonald's converted a lot on that. Now, if Kai Cenat would have had his own burger, the probably would have converted 1% of whatever he converted with McDonald's.
Wasn't that the Beast Burger? He did that, right?
Yeah, Mr. Beast did it,
What
right?
he did with Ghost Kitchens.
Yeah, and he just would pop up at local shops.
Uber Eats was everywhere. Yeah.
It did well though, because you have to understand, although he didn't have the same market share as these other brands, he had like 90% of the margins.
Yeah.
So he almost made the same, if not more, if he were to do. So that's why I said for Kai Cenat, like if he would have built his own burger, probably wouldn't have converted the same. But 1% of what he did with McDonald's monetarily probably would have equaled to the same, if not more than the deal that he got. So you have to understand the leverage you have when you're building these campaigns or brands, when you're actually looking to see like what type of content do I want to make? Is this marketable? And what type of brands do I want to be associated with? Because I don't have to be thinking about brand deals today, but the content that I'm making has to have ends to something. Has to be monetary, has to be figuring out how I can make money from this, or I'm just wasting time, really, because there's a lot of people making money doing content right now. So if you're not, figure that out. It's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, because you could have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly. You can have your cake and eat it too, as long as you do it the right way,
It's funny because I'm totally doing this to have great conversations with people like yourself. Have the space where the community can really listen in and hey, any brands want to come in and sponsor, holla.
Exactly. Like right now, right now, we're not looking at this on a monetarily end, right? We're actually just, like I said, this is actually just networking, getting to know each other a little bit more, and then having an experience on the camera with it as well. But there's probably like, for example, maybe it's a camera brand that we're using for this that could sponsor this video to see how dope this setup was. Because if someone were to see what we're doing here, this is amazing. Like a brand can tie into this. You get what I'm saying? So it's very important that, even though today we're not looking to make money, we understand the long term of like, this could be a money hub, eventually.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is dope. So 35,000 plus people of the Furlough community, entrepreneurs, marketers. Guys, if you aren't in the server, in the community, discord.gg/furlough, do you have a message to share with all of them?
Yeah, guys, go be great. Don't demand anything less than excellence. A lot of times we live in this economy where people are okay with just getting by. And a lot of times we do just get by. But we have to demand more out of ourselves, and when we demand more out of ourselves, our surrounding demands more out of us. And it keeps us consistent with that. And so I would say demand excellence out of yourself because, that's what I would say.
Love it, brother. Where can they find you?
Daniel.Mwangi3 on Instagram and pretty much all platforms. And then our website is Mwangi Marketing, but we're doing a rebrand as well. So, maybe we update that as well.
Links in the description.
Yeah.
Daniel, bro, this was a fire. I enjoyed it. I'm going to bring you on some of the events that we have in the community. I'm sure they love to meet you. And if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment. I'll make sure we'll grab a coffee sometime and we'll go through the questions together.
Yeah, no, of course. And no, this is going to be like the first of many connections with you. I mean, just meeting you every single time, the energy's been there, the synergy's been there. You're one of those people, when people meet, they just believe in instantly. And I'll say, bro, I believe in you, bro. So whatever you're doing, bro, I'm here for it.
Much love, brother.
Yes,
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff.
Let's go.
Until the next one.
Okay.
Cheers, everybody.